The Aran Islands, 10 miles off the West Galway coastline, are amongst the few places in the country where rabbits have survived the scourge of myxomatosis. But here on Inishmore they have in turn become a major headache for the 900 islanders. Nobody really knows how many rabbits there are, but reliable estimates say there may be somewhere between 30 and 40,000 of them. And certainly almost everywhere you go they're to be seen, although getting close enough to catch them on film can be quite a tricky business, because these island rabbits have learned all of the tricks of survival. But their unbelievable warren or network of burrows are to be found in almost every tiny field. And for island farmers who at the best of times have to struggle against the elements and rough terrain, they've become an absolute menace.
The rabbits have eaten practically all the grass that I have. This year I had to get rid of most of the cattle because I had no grass for the cattle. And all the cattle I have at the moment is what you see behind my back. The whole place is eaten with them. Now, we have two types of rabbits. There's bush rabbits up at Dunangus, which don't burrow. And then we have this heel, which I don't know how they're going to get rid of them, but it's very serious on the island, terribly serious, because people, not alone is it me, but the rest of the people on the island also are in the same position.
Well, they eat, of course, more grass than the cattle at the moment, and the cattle population of the island, I'm told, has decreased by about 50%, and people had to sell off their stock when there was no prices, just because there was no grass available. Outside of that, altogether, they're doing terrible damage to the grass, and the droppings and everything. Cattle get sick and they just won't eat the grass anymore, and there's weeds and everything else growing up anywhere there's rabbit infestation.
Needless to say, the islanders have declared war on the rabbits with guns and poison and even gas, but their campaign hasn't had the slightest effect on the huge population.
I don't know. We might have hit them, but shooting them really isn't the answer. They're just too plentiful, and as you can see yourself, even with the machine gun, you still wouldn't clear the place of rabbits. You need something more drastic. Gas didn't work, guns don't work, dogs don't work. I don't know.
One of the biggest worries for the islanders is the damage the rabbits are doing to the local airstrip, which the Galway-based airline Aran uses every day to fly in the thousands of tourists who visit Inishmore, and which is also used by many light aircraft every year. So far, the rabbits have caused most damage along the perimeter, but increasingly they've been burrowing into and under the runway.
They're a real threat, a very real threat to the air service, for the very simple reason that on the banks and both sides of the boundaries of the airstrip itself, there are thousands upon thousands of rabbits, and they come onto the airstrip during the very early hours of the morning and do quite a bit of burrowing. We have to keep the thing completely checked every morning and under constant surveillance, because if they could burrow deep holes, one of the wheels of the aircraft could get into it and cause a lot of damage, structural damage to the aircraft itself. My problem here in the mornings is I must get down every morning, examine the airstrip in case they have any burrowing done since the previous night. Also, it's not too bad for our Aran aircraft because they have big wheels. But if any light aircraft are coming in here, I must warn them about the conditions on the airstrip here because of burrowing by rabbits. So it's a very real threat and very worrying to us.
One way of disposing of the thousands of rabbits here would of course be to introduce myxomatosis. But memories of the mass destruction of rabbits in an extremely cruel and painful way on the mainland in the 60s has so far prevented the islanders from taking this final and drastic step. But they are, however, extremely anxious to hear from anybody who could come up with some suggestions as to how these rabbits could be reduced, if not eliminated, in a more humane fashion.
Myxomatosis, yes, probably. But myxomatosis is something that I wouldn't fancy coming near anywhere. Because, the smell of the dead rabbits and that would be just terrible around the place. But I don't know what the solution would be, unless the government comes up with some kind of a solution.